You have seen the version of him the world likes to show you. The richest man alive, the rockets, the factories, the fortune so large it has stopped meaning anything a normal person can picture. You have seen him on the covers and in the headlines, and in the endless arguments that follow his name across the planet. That is the Elon Musk the world knows. But I want to show you a different one tonight. I want to show you a young man, decades ago, in a small, bare room, sitting at a table with a notebook and a fistful of coins, doing arithmetic. Not the arithmetic of rockets or companies, the oldest arithmetic there is, the arithmetic of how to make almost no money last until the end of the month. Because before he was any of the things you have heard about, Elon Musk ran a quiet experiment on himself. He wanted to find out, in the most direct way possible, how little a human being actually needs to survive. And for a stretch of his young life, he lived the answer on roughly $1 a day. What he learned in that small room, hungry and broke, and a long way from home, never left him. And it explains more about the man he became than all the headlines put together. He was a long way from where he had started. He had left South Africa as a teenager, crossed an ocean, first to Canada, the country of his mother's family, with little more than a plan and a stubbornness that bordered on the unreasonable. He had no fortune behind him. Whatever the world likes to imagine about a privileged start, the young man who arrived in North America was, in the most practical daily sense, broke. He worked the kind of jobs a young immigrant works. He stayed where he could. He counted what he had, and what he had was very little. This is the part of the story that gets lost. We meet Elon Musk now at the summit, and we assume the climb must have been gentle, cushioned, easy. It was not. There were years, real years, when he was just another young man in a cold country, far from his mother, far from anyone who knew him, trying to turn an enormous dream into something he could eat. And in those years, he made a decision that tells you almost everything about how his mind works. Most people, when they are broke, experience it as something happening to them, a misfortune, a condition to escape as fast as possible. Elon experienced it differently. He looked at his poverty the way he looked at everything, as a problem to be understood, measured, and solved. And the question he asked himself was not the panicked one most of us would ask. It was a cooler, stranger question. How little do I actually need? So he tested it. By his own account in later years, he set out to discover the floor, the absolute minimum a person could spend on food and still keep going. He worked it down, item by item, to something close to $1 a day. Cheap food bought in bulk. The same plain things, eaten again and again. Hot dogs, oranges, pasta with whatever sauce was cheapest. The kind of diet a person eats not for pleasure, but for arithmetic. Because every dollar saved on dinner was a dollar that could go toward the future he was trying to build. $1 a day. Think about what that actually means, lived out, meal after meal, week after week. It means you do not eat what you want. You eat what is cheapest. It means the small daily pleasures other people take for granted. A coffee, a proper meal, something fresh, become luxuries you calculate and usually deny yourself. It means hunger is not an occasional visitor, but a kind of roommate, always there in the background, a low, constant hum beneath everything else you are trying to do. Most people would find that grim, and it was. But for the young Elon Musk, there was something almost clarifying about it. Because once you have discovered the floor, once you have proven to yourself that you can survive on $1 a day, a certain kind of fear loses its grip on you. If the worst case is this, and you have already lived the worst case, and you are still here, still working, still dreaming, then what, exactly, is there left to be afraid of? This is the thing hunger teaches a person, and it is not the thing you would expect. You would expect it to teach fear, to make a person timid, grasping, terrified of ever being without again. And for some people, it does exactly that. There are people who were poor young and spend the rest of their lives running from it, hoarding, never feeling safe no matter how much they pile up. But for a certain kind of person, hunger teaches the opposite. It teaches a strange, durable fearlessness. Because once you have stood at the bottom and found out that the bottom does not kill you, that you can live there on $1 a day and still get up in the morning and chase the impossible, you stop being afraid of falling. The floor has lost its terror because you have already touched it with your own hands. This is one of the secret engines of Elon Musk's entire life, and almost no one talks about it. When he bet everything on his companies, again and again, in ways that horrified the cautious people around him, pouring his last dollars into rockets that kept exploding, into a car company that kept nearly dying. Part of what allowed him to do it was something he had learned in that small room. He had already lived on $1 a day. He had already been to the bottom, and the bottom, it turned out, was survivable. A man who has made peace with the worst case is a dangerous man to bet against, not because he cannot lose, but because losing does not frighten him the way it frightens everyone else. The room he lived in those years was small. The dream he carried in it was not. This is the contrast at the heart of the young Elon Musk. Here is a young man with no money, eating the same cheap food day after day, working jobs to keep himself alive. And inside that small, broke, hungry life, he is thinking about the survival of the human species, about space, about energy, about the future of the entire world. The size of his outer circumstances and the size of his inner world could not have been further apart. Most people, in a small, bare room with a fistful of coins, dream small. They dream of a slightly better job, a slightly nicer apartment, a little more breathing room. There is no shame in that. It is the sane response to scarcity. But Elon, in the same small room, was dreaming on a scale that did not match his circumstances at all. He was broke, and he was planning to change the world. A lesser story would call the dream a fantasy, a way to escape the hard reality of the room. But it was the opposite. The room was the proof that he could survive while chasing the dream. The two held each other up. The smallness of his daily life gave him the freedom to aim at something enormous, because he had already learned he could survive the cost of aiming and missing. He was, in that room, quietly becoming the only kind of person who could later do what he did. A person with a vast dream and almost no fear of going without. Why would anyone choose this? That is the question that separates him from most people who have been poor. Because for many people, poverty is not a choice. It is a trap, a circumstance, something done to them by forces outside their control. And for the young Elon, in part, it was that too. He genuinely did not have money. But there was also an element of choice in how he met it. He could have taken an easier, safer, more comfortable path. He had the intelligence to earn a steady, decent living almost anywhere. He could have eaten well and lived comfortably and built an ordinary, good life. He chose the dollar a day instead. He chose it because every dollar not spent on comfort was a dollar that could be spent on the future. He chose it because he had decided, early and absolutely, that he was not on this earth to be comfortable. He was here to build. And building, the kind of building he had in mind, required a willingness to go without that most people simply do not have. There is a word for this that has gone out of fashion, and the word is sacrifice. We do not talk about it much anymore. The idea of deliberately choosing less now for the sake of something larger later. But it is one of the oldest engines of human achievement, and the young man in that small room understood it in his bones. He was not suffering pointlessly. He was paying in advance, in the only currency he had, comfort, ease, a full plate, for a future he could see clearly, even when no one else could see it at all. And here is what he never forgot. Decades later, when the dollar a day had become a fortune almost beyond counting, when he could have bought anything on earth and never thought about the price, the young man in the small room never entirely left him. He carried that young man forward, the way we all carry our younger selves, folded somewhere inside us, still feeling what they felt. You can see it if you know to look for it. You can see it in the way he has never been able to simply rest on what he has built. A man who has truly made peace with comfort stops at some point and enjoys it. Elon never quite has. There is still something of the hungry young man in him, still working impossible hours, still betting fortunes others would protect, still living in some essential way, as though the bottom is always one bad decision away, and the only safety is to keep building. You can see it in the strange simplicity that runs through him even now. For all the wealth, there has always been something almost indifferent in him toward the ordinary luxuries that wealth makes possible. The man who learned to live on $1 a day never fully developed the appetites that most wealthy people develop. The fortune was never the point. It was never about the full plate. It was always about what the empty plate could buy, the future, the next impossible thing. The lean years did not make him want comfort. They made him strangely free of the need for it. And that freedom, it turns out, is one of the most powerful things a person can possess. There is a particular dignity in a person who remembers being hungry. Not everyone keeps it. Plenty of people claw their way up from nothing and spend the rest of their lives pretending the nothing never happened, embarrassed by it, hiding it, building a glossy story in which they were always destined for the top. The hunger becomes a thing to be ashamed of, a past to be erased. The ones who keep their dignity are the ones who remember, who can still, decades later, recall exactly what it felt like to count coins at a small table, to eat the same plain food again, to want something and deny it to yourself for the sake of something larger. That memory, carried honestly, does something to a person. It keeps them human. It keeps them connected to the version of themselves that had nothing and kept going anyway. Elon Musk has spoken about those lean years without shame. He has described the $1 a day plainly as a fact, even at times with a kind of fondness. The way a person speaks about a hard season they are quietly proud of having survived. He does not hide it. He does not pretend the climb was easy. And that in its own quiet way, is one of the more admirable things about him. That the man at the top has never been embarrassed by the young man at the bottom. He has never disowned him. He has carried him all the way up, the broke and hungry kid in the small room, and given him, in a sense, the only thing the kid ever really wanted. He gave him the future he was starving for. So what were the lean years actually for? It would be easy to say they were just a phase, a hard beginning to be gotten through on the way to the real story. But I do not think that is right. I think the lean years were the real story, or at least the foundation of it. Everything that came later, the willingness to risk, the freedom from fear, the indifference to comfort, the relentless drive, all of it was forged in that small room on that $1 a day. We tend to believe that hardship is something to be avoided, and of course, much of it is. No one should be needlessly hungry. But there is a kind of chosen hardship, a hardship in service of something larger that does something to a person that comfort never can. It strips away the inessential. It teaches you what you actually need, which is almost always far less than you thought. And it gives you a strange, unshakable confidence, the confidence of someone who has been tested and did not break. The young man eating his $1 a day meals was not wasting those years. He was building the person who could survive everything that came after, the exploding rockets, the dying companies, the public ridicule, the seasons when everything he had was on the line. He could survive all of it because he had already survived the small room. He had already learned the lesson the lean years exist to teach. You need far less than you fear, and you are far stronger than you know. I started by telling you that you have seen the version of him the world likes to show. The summit, the fortune, the man arguing with the whole planet. But now you have seen the other one. The young man at the small table, counting coins, eating the same plain food again, broke and hungry, and a long way from home, refusing to be afraid of the bottom, because he had already moved in and learned to live there. And here is what I want you to take from his story, because it is not really about rockets or fortunes at all. Somewhere in your own life, there has probably been a lean season, a time when you had less than you wanted, when you went without, when you counted what you had and it was not much. We do not usually think of those times with pride. We think of them as the hard chapters, the ones we were glad to leave behind. But those chapters made you, the same way the small room made him. Whatever fearlessness you carry, whatever strength you did not know you had until you needed it, whatever quiet confidence lets you face the hard things, a good deal of it was forged in the seasons when you had to go without. The lean years were not the interruption of your story. In a way, they were the writing of it. The most powerful man on earth once lived on $1 a day, and he will tell you, if you ask him honestly, that it was not the curse it looked like from the outside. It was the education that made everything else possible. You need far less than you fear, and you are far stronger than you know. If this story reached something in you, you belong here. Subscribe and stay. There are more of these still to come.